up, everybody? It's your boy the Kryptonian saying here, bringing you a review for One Piece, Chapter 627. I gotta make one thing clear right quick, right now, right? See, I know normally, I got my New York Giants gear on, and I got a New Orleans Saints gear. I got two teams, damn it. I just root for both of them, but New York is the hometown team, and New York is the team I root for. So I had to say that before I had somebody just kind of call me out on that. So, with that being said, this chapter review, man, I can't believe this, man. I cannot believe this. So there's a reverie going on this year. And at first, before Oda confirmed it with yet another statement, I was thinking, I said, damn, he like dropped reverie like 2 or 3 times in like the last few chapters. And in this chapter, one of the princesses is like, yeah, the reverie dude, like, hey, like, there's one this year, there's another in 2 years, there's another in 6 years, there's another in 10 years. It doesn't matter how long it takes you guys to get over the hatred in your heart. But whenever you do get over that hatred, we're going to get all the signatures. And when we get all these signatures, we are going to make sure my mother's dream actually gets carried out. We are going to have the fishmen and fish boys and mermaids and every other creature that's down here. They're going to see the sun. They're going to see actual trees. We're no longer going to live 30,000 feet under the sea. We are going to be one. We're going to move past this hatred and racism and discrimination and this bloodlust that some of us have. We're going to move past this and we're going to fully heal our wounds. And you see that in the flashback. And so you're thinking, oh, wow, so 10 years, this is about right. Because, you know, the mermaid princess was 6 years old in this flashback and she's 16 now. And so I'm glad they got cleared up, because for a second I'm thinking, I said, damn, is she just 6 years old? Did they use that little stuff to make her body kind of shoot up? I was like, damn, I feel like a pervert. Oh, wait, she's 16. Okay, that's not as bad. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought that was really, really interesting. It's just like Luffy's on Fishman Island. There's a transponder snail now that's doing some video recording. What's to say that doesn't kick back a little bit? And what I found very interesting is there's a theme that is going through this arc as well, and it fits into what Oda's trying to say about race overall. You know, you have to be able to forgive. You can't hold people, you can't continually hold people based off the actions of another. And what I mean is, you know, you can't just box people in, and you have to be willing to listen and be willing to accept different things that happen in order to push forward. Now, I get the message he's trying to do, but at the same time, I totally understand how Jinbe could kind of think that maybe Nami was going to react a different way to him. And she even remarks, she says, his conscience was eating at him, it's what's killing him. And Jinbe's just moved to tears because she says, hey, yeah, all along I suffered greatly under him. I went through a lot because of all along, but it's because I went through as much as I did. I got to meet some really amazing people. And Sanji's like, that's me. She's talking about me, damn it. Yeah, Sanji, she's talking about you as well. But, you know, she makes some really good points. And she says, like, hey, like, just because you were, you know, running with all along, I just thought maybe you were an accomplice and there was a deeper thing into this. But you're a friend of Luffy's, right? And while the whole backstory's can, you know, laid out, Luffy just goes to sleep. Fell asleep in the first scene. And, you know, Luffy reminds me of me when I saw the Avengers for the first time, right? Like, I'm a huge, obviously with the name, Kryptonian saying, don't do as much comic book related stuff as I used to. But here's the thing though, right? Like, when I saw the first Avengers movie, everybody was just so hyped. And I went to the midnight premiere with a whole bunch of my friends. Right? A lot of them not even in the state anymore. But went to the midnight premiere with a lot of my friends, and you know, so we're in there, packed movie theater, everybody's cheering. I fell asleep in that shit. Like, I remember, I think I fell asleep when, it was very early on. It was when Loki and Captain America first fought. And after that, like, I fell fuck asleep. I got bored. I got bored. I don't like the first Avengers movie. That's very blasphemous. Very blasphemous. When I woke up, Loki was invading New York. So I say all that to kind of just jump to this point here, right? Like, when you look at Luffy, I understand it. He's got a short attention span, and dealing with such a heavy topic, I feel like Luffy is potentially the audience at this point. I feel like Oda's done some very deep stuff in One Piece, but it's been very subtle. And this is not only a taboo subject, but this is a very heavy subject. And so, because this is a shonen, because of the age group, it's just like, not only did he pull punches with it, but it might have gone over some of the heads so people can get checked out. Now, what I thought was also very brilliant and very human-like, and just the artwork and just the torture on King Neptune's face, is when he says, like, hey, I'm locking myself in here because of the bloodlust. Because I would kill this dude. And I know that's not what Otohime would have wanted. I know that's not what she would have wanted. So I'm gonna lock myself in here until everything subsides. I'm gonna chill out. I'm gonna do my thing, and then after it's all said and done, I'll come out. And he has this line where he is openly talking about his bloodlust, and he says, "For me to carry over her will would make me a hypocrite because of the hate that I feel." And man, that's one of those lines right there where I feel like you can't really relate to it unless you either have someone who is that precious to you, or you have had someone who is that precious to you. You know, like that's the mother of his kids. That's the person that he's been in love with. You know, when you got a bond, a love that deep, losing that love, holy shit. That's something like, man, you don't wish that on nobody. Like, I don't want to go through that, man. Like, you're talking about, fuck that. Especially in some shit like that where, I mean, he basically watched his wife die in front of him while she was on the verge of seeing her dreams accomplished. Like, that is some heavy shit. That is something that is not going to go away. It's always going to be there with you. It's always going to be there. And I know, like, if that's me, oh, fuck that. Fuck that. I'm shutting the fuck down for a little bit. Next time you see me, I'm going to have a full Oliver Queen beard going on and shit, man. Like, angry as a motherfucker. I'm either going to be angry as a motherfucker, or I'm going to go back to how I was like a long ass time ago where I just lock in and I work my ass off. I don't talk to nobody. It's just like, oh, you're doing this? Okay, that's cool. Fuck you. I'm doing my own thing. Send me a picture, nigga. Like, that type of shit. So, I mean, yo. For him to be at that point and he's acknowledging it and speaking through it, that lets me know he's at least taking the first step towards healing. But what's going to be also key is her sons have taken that up. They've taken up that mantle. And when that huge speech just gets given, you know that even though she died, she might have needed to die in order to fully begin the healing process for our island. Because on one hand, you can say it was, done, but at the same time, just the reaction that came lets you know that there were still some wounds there. The fact that there were still some people who were fishmen who would sabotage everything she worked for. Lets you know that it hasn't fully, started the healing process. But I think this did it. And I think Hody Jones and his crew, they're the last bits that have to be removed. And I think that they're very symbolic of how in society we would like to say we're in a post-racial world. That's not exactly the truth. But at the same time, you have like a lot of people who feel like there's this like pocket of society, particularly in the West, where they hold on to the hatred and ignorance. And as long as it's there, we never have this dialogue. We never move forward. We never truly begin the healing process. And I know, like in the city I'm in, like they're still stuck in the 1960s in some aspects, man. Like I've talked about this in other videos where it's just like, oh yeah, sure, clean cut black guy. He must have came from insert the rough hood in the city. It's like you don't know his story. How can you jump that conclusion? It's because of that shit. And so I totally get it. I totally get what Oda's doing in this, man. And I think that he also had Jinbe kind of step up to the plate because you see it in the flashback where he's just like, just hide it. Don't say anything. And Hody Jones just seizes the opportunity. And in a way, he's all along 2.0. He's all along 2.0. And I like how with Jinbe, he ties it back in and he even says, well, you know, your friends are at the castle. Hody Jones is stepping forward. I didn't think it would get this bad. And everything's come full circle now. Everything's come full circle. And just as a side note, you know, Hody Jones, that's some pedophilia shit, man. Like, sending out the notes and everything, telling the 6-year-old, like, yeah, I'm trying to go balls deep in that when you get older now. That's some pedophilia shit. Because, I mean, she was 6, man. Five notes in a day on the day that her mother died. Get the fuck out of here, man. That's some sick shit. But my chapter question to you guys is going to be for Jinbe. Oh, wait. Back up a second. Now I know what I want to talk about with Jinbe, too. Now I know. Because when Nami was saying, and this is where language comes into key. When Nami was saying that Jinbe, oh, his conscience was getting him, and just, what's where I put this? The heavy weight that Jinbe had, right? This is one of my things, right? The heavy weight that he had, when you go back into fiction, you break down and you study fiction from a craft perspective, right? Let me see if I got the book here. Oh, this would be a good one. This would be a good one, right? Right here. The Art of the Story. This has taught me so much. I don't know if you guys can see this. The Art of the Story. This has taught me so much when it comes to just writing and literature and all that in general, right? And it's a bunch of short stories, but there's also like little lessons and everything in there. And when it comes to these characters with letting this heavy weight off their shoulders and just the placement of where Jinbe is bowing down like this and he's appearing as if like in the hero's journey's part where it feels like he's gone in his inmost cave, it feels as if he's come to a point where he's made a decision. And usually when you get to shit like that, that's what you associate with death. And a great way to put this would be when Jiraiya was talking to Tsunade, right? And this should be like in the Naruto stuff, like around chapter 3. Let me see. Naruto versus Pain ended in 450. So Jiraiya stuff should be like 350 to 380, somewhere around there. Anyway, the whole point is before Jiraiya went to the hidden rain village, right? Before he went there, he had this line with Tsunade, and he said, well, yeah, you know, you never went out with me, and rejection is how men grow stronger, and just this deep stuff. And you see him walking off in the sunset. Him walking off in the sunset was very symbolic, in your face, but just the language that he was using before that, like several pages before that. And with Jinbe, like when he's talking at this point, it's like he's almost saying like Hody Jones and the Fishmen and just this whole thing with making sure that the Queen's dream is reached. That's the last thing I need to do before I die. And that's the feeling that I'm getting. I'm feeling like this is that moment right there. I don't think that Hody Jones is going to kill Jinbe. And at the same time, he's tied so closely to the Queen. And when you look at what Oda's done, right? This is why I wish sometimes I just script out my One Piece review so I can do it. But because that way I can jump in this shit earlier. But this is a reaction slash review. So sometimes I'll forget some shit, sometimes I'll remember. But anyway, getting back to this, right? Like, when you look at it, you had Tiger on one side, you had the Queen on the other, and they're on polar ends, but at the same time you always had Jinbe kind of weighing in a little bit, and you see him going through the various changes. And so I could see a scenario where Jinbe has to lay his life down in order for the Fishmen to be able to, you know, Neptune to be able to go and present himself to the other people that are going to be at the reverie thingies. Like, that's what I could see. Because if it's I want to say it's the king, and he's a king, So that would have to that would have to be like, say, like in Marvel with the Illuminati, where you have all the brightest minds together and they're trying to figure out how to deal with the Infinity Gems. Like, it would have to be something like this. And the fact that Celestial Dragon, with that authority, gets, you know, them to the table, you could see how maybe things are kind of being shaped. So I'm wondering on this. I'm wondering, but I'm not too sure. And part of the reason I'm not too sure is, on one hand, Jinbe's character arc, it's done, or at least you could say it was done. He was a former warlord. The Arlong stuff's being taken care of because Arlong has been, you know, one-shotted by Luffy. Hody Jones is about to be taken care of. The fishmen are probably going to the Reverie, and so his whole thing is wrapping up. You know, his promise to Ace to look out for Luffy. Technically, he did that. He got him off of Marineford. And so, and he's already flirted with death to begin with. So I'm curious. I'm really curious on that one, because I'm looking at this now and it feels like breadcrumbs, but at the same time, I thought shit before and it didn't work out. So I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. But I said, like, spider sense. Now, fuck that. We're gonna go rate it NC-17. We're gonna go rate it NC-17. My nutsack is tingling right now. It's getting all tight and all the other shit. So I'm wondering what Jinbe's arc is gonna be in relation with the future Fishman Island. Because let's look at this from a symbolic standpoint, right? We have the princes who are taking up the mother's lead, okay? The king, bad back and everything, the king's probably not going to die. He needs to be there in order to present, you know, all the other shit for Fishman Island. So he needs to be there, not a candidate to die. Princess is taking up the last call. But when it comes to bad blood and everything, Hody Jones will be taken care of. And Jinbe isn't exactly clean when it comes to that. He's got some blood on his hands as well. And so when you look at symbolism, you've already had two people on both sides kind of get taken out. And yet at the same time, if you want to go on balancing scales, which is very important with storytelling and craft and all that, when you look at it, on one side you have the queen. She's been taken out. On the other side, you have Arlong, who's been taken out. And you've also had Tiger, and you'll have Tiger and Hody Jones. They'll be taken out. But that's 3-1. So you have to have, at some point, you have to have somebody die on that side. So it'd have to be Jinbe. And if you want to say, well, Tiger was kind of in between. You know, he had hope for the future, but he was too tainted. So if you want to put him in the middle, then it's still 2-1. So in order to balance those scales out, Jinbe's arc, that would be needed for him. He would need to lay his life down for the whole future of getting Fishman Island to the front of the sea. But that's my thoughts on that. That's actually going to be my chapter question. I'm going to abandon the one I had before, partially because I don't remember what the fuck it was. But my chapter question to you guys is, what are your thoughts about the whole thing about balance and kind of the Jinbe having a huge role to play when it comes to the Fishman for Fishman Island's future? Or do you think I'm kind of reading too much into that? But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys.